Vanna White, a regular on the game show Wheel of Fortune, has been through a lot of difficult times. While she was beguiling watchers at home, she was fighting a few genuinely shocking individual devils. Vanna White was born in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to Joan Marie and Mike Rosick in 1957. Her parents got divorced while she was still young, and some sources say that she wasn't even a year old when they split up. White probably didn't remember much about the breakup because she was so young at the time, and it didn't really change her going forward. White developed a close relationship with her stepfather, Herbert Stackley White Jr., after her mother remarried. She eventually adopted his surname as her own and dropped her father's Spanish and Puerto Rican last name. North Myrtle Beach remained home to the White family. White went to New York City when she was 12 to meet her biological father. They would keep in touch throughout his life, but White knew right away that Herb White was and will always be her father. Everything went very well. White moved out of the family home very quickly in the wake of moving on from secondary school. She migrated to Atlanta, Georgia, where she was signed up for the Atlanta School of Style and Plan. Her next stop was Los Angeles, where she tried her hand at acting and modeling. However, when she returned to South Carolina in 1980 to spend time with her mother, who had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, her first stint in Los Angeles was cut short. White spent her mother's final days by her side, passing away on July 10, 1980. White was just 23 years old when her mother passed away. Joan White's ashes were scattered at sea following the funeral. White went back to Hollywood after that to begin her acting career. Despite her early struggles, White is now one of television's most recognizable characters. Before I got a job, I had at least 100 interviews. Her most memorable TV credit was in the 1981 television film 12 p.m. Contributions, trailed by jobs in Graduation Day and Looker. White appeared in minor roles in a number of television series beginning in the early 1980s, including Star of the Family and The A-Team. She was also a part of the main cast of Gypsy Angels, which starred Richard Roundtree but wasn't released until 1990. In an interview with the Associated Press, she mentioned that Tu was living in an apartment without a bed and sleeping on the floor. She recalled how difficult those early days were. I got a job at Luigi's down the street as a bartender and waitress. I worked there for a year and had the option to purchase a bed. White auditioned for her now famous role on Wheel of Fortune just 2 years before she competed on the popular game show The Price is Right in 1980. White Vanna. Take a seat. On Price is Right, you're one of the first 4 contestants. Around the time that she initially started work on Wheel of Fortune, White dated and in the long run became drawn into John Gibson. Having likewise moved to Los Angeles to look for a job as an entertainer, Gibson previously rose to distinction in the wake of showing up as a dreamboat in Playgirl magazine. Later, he worked as a brand ambassador and became one of the most popular dancers at the male striptease club Chippendales. Gibson likewise had various TV and film jobs and proceeded to play a customary part on the daytime cleanser The Youthful and the Fretful as strip club proprietor Jerry Cashman. Gibson was the pilot of a rented Trinidad TB-20 when it crashed while landing at the Van Nuys Airport on May 17, 1986. When the aircraft crashed into a curb and burst into flames, Gibson, who was 37 years old at the time, was killed. The extent of his burns necessitated the use of dental records to identify him. I landed on my knees. Everything just went out of my hands. I knew. White was devastated by Gibson's death. However, the overwhelming support she received from her fans enabled her to eventually resume her employment and move on with her life. She reviewed the result of the misfortune to People, saying, "I heard from such countless individuals who had a similar encounter of losing somebody quickly in a mishap, and that truly helped me. I never felt like I was by myself." Vanna White made an appearance in Playboy magazine in 1987. Even though the pictures showed her in lingerie and posing in a suggestive way, she wasn't completely naked. White apologized to the public on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson because she was concerned that the pictures would cost her job on Wheel of Fortune. The Playboy photos stunned a large part of the nation, however things weren't exactly as they at first seemed, and it was subsequently uncovered that White hadn't really modeled for Playboy by any stretch of the imagination. White stated, in response to Fox News inquiry, "I was too ashamed to ask my dad for rent money when I first moved to Hollywood. I wanted to do it on my own when I was young. Thus, I did these underwear shots, and from the second I said I would do them, I thought, I ought not be doing this, yet I won't ask my father for cash, so I'm about to make it happen." Hugh Hefner took advantage of White's fame after she became a pop culture fixture on Wheel of Fortune by purchasing the pictures and printing them in Playboy. White considered filing the lawsuit against Playboy and Hefner in an effort to prevent the publication of the photographs, but she ultimately decided against doing so because she was concerned that the general public would have the impression that the images were more intimate than they actually were. In Aspen, Colorado, on New Year's Eve 1990, for years after Gibson's death, White wed George Santo Pietro, a restaurateur and film producer. I believe Vanna was at a stage in her life when she was likely to have children, and I had to decide whether or not to share that with her and step up to the plate. In 1992, White reported her pregnancy by means of a riddle on Wheel of Fortune. However, she miscarried a week later. She stated, "When I finally got pregnant, I wanted to tell the world immediately. I so wanted to be pregnant and have a baby. Obviously, I lost the child, which was crushing in the wake of declaring it. The good news is that I was able to conceive once more, giving birth to 2 beautiful and healthy children. However, there is nothing positive about child loss." Nicholas White, White's first child, was born in 1994. In 1997, Giovanna, White's daughter, was born. The relationship with Pietro, on the other hand, did not last. They filed for divorce in 2002 after separating in November 2001. In 1999, there were reports that Pietro had cheated on White with a number of mistresses. This led to the announcement. These rumors were never confirmed, and the court documents stated that irreconcilable differences caused the split. White and Pietro shared custody of their children, and their separation appeared to be amicable. Pietro has largely avoided the spotlight since the divorce, which is not surprising given that he and White rarely made public appearances together. White began a relationship with Michael Kay following her divorce from Santo Pietro. They were together from 2004 to 2006 and were even engaged to get married at one point. In fact, White used the show to tell viewers that she was going to marry Kay, though this time she did so through the release of a publicity picture rather than a recorded episode, in a manner similar to how she had previously announced her pregnancy. Kay, a businessman who owned the security company Westech Interactive, never got married to White, and there was no explanation given for why the relationship ended. Since then, she has been with her boyfriend, real estate developer John Donaldson, for a long time. The pair met at a grill. I remember looking at him and thinking, he's really cute. We ended up talking for a long time that night, White told People. Since then, they have been together. White shared, "It just works," when discussing their relationship. "He allows me to be me, he became who he was. There is no suspense." White considered her stepfather, Herbert White Jr., to be her father, and they had always been close. "I fell head over heels for her as a 2-year-old, and Joan simultaneously." Following her mother's death decades earlier, the two remained close friends. On Wheel of Fortune, White talked a lot about Herbert, saying how much she loved him, how they kept in touch, and how she called him every morning. She likewise presented contacting recognitions on him on her web-based entertainment accounts. It is with great sadness that I tell you my 96-year-old dad passed away peacefully this morning, White wrote in a post on X on April 1, 2022. He had a full and happy life and will be remembered as one of North Myrtle Beach's kindest and most wonderful people. Dad, I adore you so much. Similarly as with other profound misfortunes in White's day-to-day existence, fans and Wheel of Fortune watchers rushed to show their help. Online, many people expressed their love for White and posted condolence messages. You have to keep going. Everything happens for a reason. No matter what they are. In 2024, the final episode of Wheel of Fortune, hosted by Pat Sajak, aired on June 7th. It turned out to be a touching farewell. I can't believe that tomorrow is our last show together, White said in a specially recorded segment for the show about their time together. That was how many episodes passed. I was so inexperienced when I first started. Pat, you made me feel so at ease and gave me such confidence. You gave me my identity, you did, in fact. The most you could ever ask Pat was, what? In fact, I've uttered numerous sentences. White and Sajak were close friends and worked on the show together for more than 4 decades. White frequently mentioned how much she loved her co-host and how much time they spent together. She stated in an interview with People, "He is my TV husband. You know, we've been together. 40 years is a ton to accompany someone. We've had to deal with significantly together. Vanna probably would not have been my choice. Not that she wasn't charming and lovely in other ways. She is still. However, she was terrified." White stated, "I think when series creator Merv Griffin chose both of us 40 and 41 years ago, he saw something between us, a brothers/sister type relationship. She insisted that she and Sajak would continue to see each other in their personal lives. I think he realized that we would get along. We do, too. We work together like brothers and sisters.